often see you going after girls with thin little lips, flat little asses, right?
You know what he calls my 10? He calls my 10 Amazon women with good jobs. And then he's like, I like women that are unemployed because they are available.
Well, let's put it this way. Like, I could picture you whacking off to Taylor Swift.
Madison here with Real Social Dynamics, and I'm in a market in Japan. And you might look all around us and say, where are the 10s, bro? All I see is families and babies. Madison, I don't want to date a baby. I want to date a 10. It's where I'm watching your video. Well, there's 10s all around us. Everywhere you go, every single time of the day you walk around, there is a 10. But the problem is you have blinders on. You are literally blind to the attractive women around you. You cannot see them. You're saying, why is that? How is that possible? Well, we're gonna explore that in today's video, okay? Because you didn't get into this for 6s and 7s, you got into this for 9s and 10s. We started lying to yourself, saying you didn't want them, but I know you really do. In this 10 series, we're gonna explore that. So the idea of today's video is the subjective 10 versus the social 10. All right, so there's two types of 10s that are out there. There's a social 10 that everybody agrees upon is amazing and beautiful, right? It's a girl who's paid to be beautiful. She's the bartender, the cocktail waitress, the model. I think of George Clooney's wife, right? She's intelligent, sophisticated, very ambitious, sensual, etc. Then there's the subjective 10, which is gonna be very different because what I find attractive in a girl, what I want in a girl, is very different from what you want in a girl. You can want a girl with that Coca-Cola shaped body, right? That pair of hips, that J-Lo booty. Maybe she's Brazilian. And it could be another dude who wants a girl who's like tall, blonde, elegant, and is very quiet, doesn't go leave the house very much, and just studies a lot, right? So everybody's 10 is subjective. So I'm gonna talk to you today about going after your subjective 10 as well as the social 10 and harmonizing that together for the maximum results, baby. I'm gonna talk about 9s and 10s today, and this is something that I love talking about. I mentioned before because I've dated tons and tons of girls that were just incredible girls, right? Like I mentioned like just a second ago, I've dated Olympic athletes that have won silver medals. I've dated daughters of spiritual gurus. Think of the top 5 in the world. That's the daughter I dated. Think of I've dated girls that have dated oil baron tycoon millionaires, and I'm not a millionaire. I'm definitely not an oil baron. I didn't know what an oil baron was before I met her. I've dated the top 40 porn star in the world, according to X videos. She has 1 billion views. She made fun of me. She's like, you have 5 million or like 10 million views. I have 1 billion. I'm like, she's like, I think I win. I'm like, yeah, I think you win.
Is he still the top 40?
Yeah.
Okay, perfect.
He says, okay, perfect. Say no more, fam. Say no more. I'm there. Say no more, fam. If I don't see you for the rest of the speech, I know where you are. In the bathroom doing research. Whatever you do not shake that man's hand later. Are you right-handed? Are you right-handed or left-handed?
I don't know. I'm left-handed.
You're left-handed? Okay, cool. Do not shake his left hand. You will get a rude awakening. Anyway, so, yeah, I've really been blessed, and again, that came from my background and career. Like again, like my dating career. My career is my dating. But I've used to work with models in the fashion industry, so I used to be backstage at all these fashion events, and the models are getting changed. I would learn about the culture of models. I learned how models think, right? So I learned about like how most models don't think that they're 10s; they secretly believe they're 7s. They have to put on the 10 persona and get paid for it, but really they want to be just normal girls. They don't. No pretty girl also wants to be liked for her beauty, by the way. If you go to a beautiful girl and you're like, you're so beautiful, or I like you because you're hot. She's like, I know, I want to be appreciated for something else, you know, some of the shit. It's like the way to be my friend is not to be like, Madison, teach me about the opener. It's like to talk about some other shit that I have no idea about. And I'm like, that's pretty cool. I'm like, I like that. I'm like, yeah. He's like, yo, Madison, you want to come do that? I'm like, yeah, if I have time, that'd be cool, right? Some other shit besides pickup, that's the way to get to my attention. So a hot girl's the same way. It's not to talk to her about being hot, talk about some other shit. So I was in this modeling world, dealt with photographers. I dealt with setting up events for these models, hiring them, hanging out with them, being friends with them, dated many of them for a while. There's like 7 or 8 major agencies in the world. I've dated girls from those agencies. I've hung out with them. They're friends of mine. Yeah, I won't get into that. We'll get into that. But I just had a lot of great experience, bottom line, okay? So I was thinking about this idea of a 9 or a 10. And I think that we all want like this amazing girl. We want this stunning girl. We all aspire to get what we call a 9 or a 10. But I had this idea lately that we wouldn't even know a 9 or a 10 if it was standing in front of us. So there's some girls that are socially accepted 9 or 10s, right? Like you go on Instagram, the girl's got like 4 million subscribers or followers on Instagram. By classical beauty standards, she is a 9, she is a 10. Because people agree to it. The general population agrees that she is a 9 and 10. Because there is like, this girl is fucking beautiful. She gets paid to be beautiful. We all follow her around on Instagram. We all aspire to get a girl like that. You know, she is the top. And when you first start out in this self-development and pickup stuff, you're gonna realize that you want that girl for whatever reason. You want her, but you have no idea why. You just want her. You're like, that's the 10. I'm here to fucking get better, get the 10s. I'm gonna get fucking, you know, amateur game. Once I get the amateur game, I'm gonna get some, you know, some intermediate level game. I'm gonna get some advanced game, get some instructor level game, get some boss game, and then, boom, 9s to 10s. All day long, all day, every day. And I've seen guys go to crazy fucking extents to get these girls, man. I've seen dudes flip their whole life around. Listen, if you want 9s or 10s, the easiest fucking way to get a 9 or a 10 that you're thinking about right now is just to get $500 to $600 and go to Amsterdam. There's an area called the Red Light District, and you can have her for half an hour for $500.
You can go window shopping there.
You can literally window shopping. It's incredible. I was asking this girl that I knew that was a porn star. I was asking her, I'm like, how much? Actually, I didn't ask her. I heard from other videos of people online. I'm like, how much do porn stars get paid? And they're like, oh, it's $800 for like average for a scene. I'm like, damn, $800 to fuck like a 10? That's crazy. $800? That blows my mind. That's some good value of money, man. You do a boot camp with me, that's like $3 grand. You know what I'm saying? You might not get the 10. So, shit, you might not get the 10 right away. You get her eventually, but after some long, hard work and several months of going out, I mean, depending on how you want to spend your money, you could just go pimping with prostitutes, man. Shit, you could be the pimp and not pay anything. You could be a porn star producer, porn movie producer. Now you guys starting to question your life. You're like, damn, what do I do in my life? Well, here's the thing, right? You already know that. Deep down in your fucking heart, you already know that you can get a 10 for $800. You don't need me to tell you that. You can go to Thailand and get a 10 for $50, okay? You can go to Praha in Czech Republic or Kiev in Ukraine and get one for like $40, okay? You already know this. You already know it. The dollar's really low over there. You already know this, man, okay? So you're not there for that. You're not here in this room because of that reason. You're here in this room for a different reason. And you know that you don't have what you want, and that's why you're here. You know that there's another level to get to, you want to get to. You have an idea of what it looks like. You imagine yourself being able to get to that higher level. And you're here for a reason. Because prostitutes ain't working for you. Money ain't working for you. Pimping isn't working for you. So what do you want to do? You want to fix it and get a real legit 10. So even if you could have the 10 that was on TV, my guess is, first of all, you wouldn't even want her at what the price is. There's an exchange. 10s cost you something. You don't get 10s for nothing. Unless you were really fucking lucky in school and you got her when she was like 15 years old and you were 16 years old and you were in the same class and she didn't know she was a 10, you stuck and fucking locked that shit down from the beginning. But every 10 costs you something. There is a value exchange that happens in one way or another. There's this website called Tag the Sponsor, which is like old dudes that are like paying these younger girls to fly out and see them. And in this website, it's like like these girls who act like they're Instagram models, really just fucking dudes for like $1,000. They fly a girl out to like fucking New York for $1,000. You buy her a purse, she fucks you, and it's like hashtag tag the sponsor. Like she gets outed. You put her business on blast. That's like a real thing. You go on Instagram, type and tag the sponsor. All these girls come up with a hashtag, right? So that's a real thing. But there's a value exchange that happens for a 10. You got to either work on yourself and be fucking cool, which you're doing right now. You got to either have some resources in your life that means that you are working on getting yourself in shape. You're working on getting yourself some good style. You're working on improving yourself. Or you got some networking, right? You know a lot of people. You can invite her out to great events, great avenues, great parties. Or you could also help her, like, in terms of just changing her life. Maybe she's a 10, but her credit's fucked, all right? Probably is. Maybe she's a 10, but she never finished school. Maybe she's a 10, but she doesn't know anything about life because she's been sheltered, you know? And you gotta help her. There's gotta be some value exchange in some way. So even if you got that 10, the question is, would you deserve that 10? And would you be freaked out when you got her? Because, yo, it's crazy. Because my girlfriend, everybody's trying to fuck her, man. It's crazy. Like, I can't, like, there's literally about 30 dudes a day that are trying to fuck my girlfriend. Okay, literally, like trying, like putting some value and effort into it, like commendable, like round of applause effort, like kudos to you, like hats off, sir. Like that was a good swing at it. Like 30 guys a day trying to fuck my girlfriend, literally. And I'm not saying she's a 9 or a 10, but I'm just saying, imagine she was more popular or more social media presence or whatever. It'd be crazy. It'd be crazy how many dudes would be trying to fuck her. Now, could you handle that? Could you handle going on Instagram and seeing all these guys like flirting with your girl? Could you handle going in the comment section of her Instagram and seeing like 20 guys like, damn, baby, like the big coyote eyes, like Roadrunner coyote eyes, like the emocon, the emoji for like the butt with like the peach, you know? Could you handle that? Could you handle like, damn, I would totally let her piss on me and shit like that in the comment section? Could you handle that? Could you handle her ex-boyfriends hitting her up all the time, trying to get back with her? One girl that I dated was a 10. She had her ex-boyfriend, over Christmas, he like bought her an iPhone and like engraved her name on it. And I was like, you cannot accept this gift. And she's like, I have to. My name's engraved on it. He can't return it now. I'm like, this fucking smooth motherfucker. Right? Smooth motherfucker. That was some pimp shit he did right there. Genius pimp shit he did. I'm like, oh, you bastard. You bastard. You had me there. So, you know, if you have a hot girl, everybody's gonna be trying to get with her because you try to get with her. And everybody you know is trying to get, I mean, your friends are gonna try to fuck her subconsciously. They don't know. They're just like, hey, trying to fuck her, you know? When I bring a hot girl out on boot camp, my boot camp students try to fuck her. I'm like, what are you doing, bro? What are you doing? Like, you can have anyone in the club except for this one. And there's plenty of others in the club. Just can't fuck this one, all right? And he's like, all right, cool. And he just can't help it. He's just magnetically just drawn over to the fucking girl. I turn him, I set him this way, he's like, all right, okay. Because she's like friendly and available in his mind, right? So 10s are a lot of pressure to keep, a lot of pressure to get, but are they worth it? It all depends on this thing. And the subject of what I want to talk about here today, in this moment, is what is your 10? What is your 10? Because if you don't know, really hard to find her. And there is no real 9 and 10. They don't exist. They don't exist. There's girls that are gorgeous, physically beautiful, stunning, models paid to be beautiful. But, you know, they're not 9s and 10s by everybody's standard. And what I've learned is what was a 10 for me has changed over the years.
Good evening, it's Owen and Madison from Real Social Dynamics. And Madison actually just flew into Los Angeles today, joined me at my crib. And like you're probably aware, Madison has been doing a series of videos on the topic of 10s. What is a 10 and what makes you a 10? So I came here, Madison asked me to give my take on that. And what we're gonna do is just talk about what a 10 means to me and also what it means to be a 10. Now, right off the bat, I think that you have a social 10, and then you have what your own genetics respond to. So if you look at most really attractive men or women, a lot of the time their parents are not both highly attractive the way that they are, right? It was 2 sets of genes that combined to make this really attractive person.
Most celebrities you see that are attractive to actually have a child, the child's usually like butt ugly. Subjectively speaking, of course.
Too.
So, yeah. It's funny.
So the way that I think about that is that there's people who basically have a scent, right? And your pheromones will tell you, I want to be with this person. Sometimes you hear a woman who her voice sounds in a certain way, her scent, her taste. Like, it's funny to me that we always focus just on the visual, but there's the way she sounds, the way she tastes, the way that she smells, the way that she feels, the way that you feel when you touch her. So to me, what you have is, again, a social 10 where your friends, if you post on social media that you're with her, are impressed. And then there's your 10. So I think that while it's cool to focus on what looks good on social media, I've had that experience where I've dated well-known girls who, when my friends see it on social media, they're like, wow, no way, props, dude. But in the back of my mind, I'm like, it's not as good as you think it is, but I guess that's cool for my ego or to have that experience. And we definitely wish for you to have that experience. And then there's also finding your own 10 where I could have sex with that girl 6 times a day. I looked forward to seeing her. I look forward to spending time with her. Now, even going deeper, there's a 10 for the night, and then there's a 10 for life, right? A 10 in a longer term relationship.
The M clothes, the marriage clothes.
If you were to go that route. So that being the case, I think it could be cool, right? It could be whatever you want to do.
That's your thing.
So yeah, I think whatever you want to do. So what it is that a lot of the time, guys will kind of sport some girl who's very attractive, but I'm already looking right in her pupils, and I'm saying to myself, you might have a half hour a day of really good intimacy with her, and then there's another 15 and a half waking hours that this girl is making your life miserable. So is that girl actually feeding your soul and making you, it really just coming together with you so that you can become the best version of yourself, you're a better man? Or is she somebody who's depleting you? And there's been plenty of women I've dated in my life that have really, really depleted me. So again, I think the first thing to understand when we're talking about 10s is you have the social 10, and that's just a girl who essentially could make a lot of money just from her appearance. Doesn't mean that she has to. She could be a librarian, whatever she wants, but she would at least have the ability to make money from her appearance. And then on the flip side, you have a 10 who is your 10. And to me, what a 10 is somebody who, again, 10 for a night or 10 for a long-term relationship. 10 for a night is somebody who you feel like you could have a crazy amount of fun with that night. And a 10 for a long period of time is somebody who you have enough physical attraction to that you're always aroused. Yeah. Okay, you have a good intimacy, good physical intimacy, good rapport. You're friends with each other. You enjoy each other's company. So to me, the women who I like spending long-term periods of my life with are girls where we just get along well. We just have rapport. Like, we just easily get along, right? I mean, most girls who I've dated in the longer term, say that I met them through a social circle, sometimes I've dated their friends and they've dated my friends before we became an item. And a lot of the time my friends will say, why did you choose her? Because sometimes my friends have even dated that girl. And I'll be like, we just get along very easily. It's just very simple and easy. It's very low stress, and we have a lot of sex. It's basically, that's basically a 10 for me. It's just, do we have good sex, a lot of sex? Do we get along easily, and do we have a fun time? Because to me, getting a girl more longer term, essentially what's happening is you're dating different girls, and then you meet this girl who you have better physical chemistry with and better emotional rapport with. And the way that I always get a girlfriend is where I'm dating different girls, and I'm not going to commit to that girl right away. So I'll still be seeing the other girls who I'm dating, but then I'll be out with one of those other girls, and I'm like, I just miss this girl. And a lot of the time, even the girl who I could be out with that night, maybe who came over to my house at 1 a.m. for an hour to hook up, even she could be prettier than the girl who I'm really into. I've had cases like that.
It's almost like the girl who comes over and you would not be upset if you didn't hook up, or you wouldn't be like disappointed. You're like, yeah, if it doesn't happen, it's cool. I usually choose the girl who the girl who's like, just so you know, I'm on my period. I'm like, okay. Like, you can still come by, you can still chill. But the thing, I think the challenge.
That's a great one. Would you invite her over if that night you couldn't hook up? And like in my case, like the girls who would come over, actually I would be annoyed if they didn't want to hook up. But the other thing is, because always a girl can come hook up, but will I also be annoyed if she stays? So my version of a 10 is right when I finish, okay, right after I finish.
Right.
Do I want to keep talking to her, or am I immediately thinking about ways to wrap it up and get on with
My version of a 10 is if I were to have sex with her twice with a condom, would I be excited enough to want to have it with the third time that night? Or would I just want to go to sleep? I think the challenge for most people is they haven't had enough experience to even know what their 10 is that they would like. They're just like, oh, that girl's hot, so I should go for that one. I feel like there's almost like a mental 10 that you vision yourself that you should get. And that's the one you go for when you first like get into game. You're like, that girl is the one I should get. It's one that's like the bartender. I was like this too. I would chase the bartender. I chased the VIP girl, the promo girl, because I'm like, the stripper, which I was like the first 3 years of my experience in game was all about the stripper. I heard about stripper game. They're the most sexual. And then I got a girl who was like a former stripper, and she had this dark sexuality. She was traumatized and had some bad experiences with men in life. And I was like, wow, okay, maybe that's not the right situation for me, because she had some negative energy around sexuality. So after a while, I was like, okay, you know what? Maybe I want to choose a girl that's had a healthy sexual relationship in her life, at least a few times. That way, you know, when I'm with her, it's not just sexual attraction. So I think as a dude, you need experience just saying what you do like, what you don't like. It's almost like the Baskin Robbins 31 flavors. You try the flavors you like, what you don't like, and eventually you kind of say, all right, I thought this was my 10 before, now this is my new 10. I actually have a list, I have an Excel sheet about 10 things that I look for in a girl. And every 6 months, I'm taking 2 things out and putting 2 things back in. Sometimes I'm like, oh, damn, actually, that old feminine thing, if she can cook, or she's like, says yes, please, sorry, and thank you, that's huge. Especially in a place like LA, right? That comes back in the list, boom, please, sorry, thank you. Femininity, blah, 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 it goes on and on. So I agree with what you're saying. There's like a subjective 10, there's a social 10, there's also probably the 10 that you think you should go for mentally, because that's like your goal. You get her and you realize you don't want her at all. And it's always a fluctuating process, right?
Yeah, I like for me, again, on the physical, the thing, everybody understands what a visual 10 looks like, but just maybe something I could add is that I look a lot at taste, I look a lot at smell, okay? If I smell her, do I feel, because I find that when I'm not into a girl, when it's maybe just not a good pheromone match, I can sort of, it smells like, I don't know if I'd call it like a light, very, very lightly, subtly acidic. Like it just, something smells a little bit off and my body's telling me not a good idea, versus if I'm a good match for a girl, when I smell her, I feel very, I feel like lightly buzzed. And also when and also when I taste her, right? Because if the taste is off, again, like that's a big deal for me. Or just to touch, do I feel a responsiveness physically? And then even sexually and sexual compatibility, there's frequency of sex. If the girl doesn't have a similar frequency of sex to you, I think that can be very problematic. I've been miserable in relationships where there's just not a compatibility or ability to get in rhythm physically. It's a shame too.
Everything else can be on point, but it's just missing.
Yeah, there's also the anatomical level. I mean, no one talks about this, but you could be too big for a girl or too small for a girl, and that is a reality as well. I mean, I've had it where, I've had both. I've had girls that are really tall and really big, and to be honest, like I didn't say this to them, but I'm like, I'm kind of a munchkin. Like, let's be honest. Like, what are you getting out of this? And likewise, I've had girls where they can be very petite and I'm a little too big, and no matter what I do to prepare them, I'm just a little too big. And, and so there's that aspect as well. So it's like the frequency, can you get on the same page? And then from there, even things like, can you build a lifestyle together that's fun for both of you? And you could have a very different life, but then when you come together, it's really fun. Or you could kind of do the same thing. So there's really pros and cons to both. So that's more like a longer term 10. And then in the short term, a lot of time that's just like what you said, right? Like for a lot of young men, I think it's very important to get those experiences under your belt that you want to have. That might be, that super attractive bartender or promoter girl or waitress or model or Instagram model or stripper. And while these experiences, a lot of people can call them shallow, I do think it can actually be very valuable for young men to kind of knock those off the list and, maybe even 5-10 times a pop and just sort of have those experiences with those girls. It's fun, and first of all, it's fun. And second of all, you're not going to feel like you're missing anything when you're done. Just make sure to play safe, right? Don't get anybody pregnant. Don't have unprotected sex in those situations. Use a condom and pull out. Or if you don't even want to go that far, then just fool around. Don't get yourself into a deep situation that you don't want to be in with, maybe a girl who, is say an exotic dancer, unless that's what you want, what you want to do, right? Because a lot of those girls can carry a lot of trauma. I've had some incredible dancer exes that I've had incredible fun with, but they've also I've watched them struggle, right? A lot of time they got put into that lifestyle because they're really struggling. And at that point, I would almost rather just kind of disconnect and help them with their struggle and help them as a friend.
Yeah.
So
on that note, you might meet some girls that are 10s, right? I know I have, and it sounds like you have as well. Met some women that physically were 10s, and we thought they were 10s, But then, you know, you put them on this pedestal, and then eventually you spend a lot of time around them, and you realize that as a person, they don't even see themselves as a 10.
Not at all.
And they've been through a lot in their life, and their self-esteem could be that of a 7. And in fact, when you treat her like a 10, you're like, you're this princess, you're this goddess. She's like, oh, she kind of gets grossed out. The way I think about it is every girl wants to be who she is around her dad on Christmas morning. You know, she wants to be Tub or whatever, you know, Jimmy Jim or whatever her uncle calls her. She wants to be that girl. And when we end up treating her like she's this goddess that she appears herself to be, this role, I call it a role, right? She's got a role of a 10, she has to play socially. And when we end up buying into that role and treating her in that role, she's like, oh, she just pushes every guy aside. And there's some 10s that you'll meet, and you go through the roster, they're like their ex-boyfriends or guys they've dated, and you see these guys, and you're like, you'll go like 2 or 3 guys down, you'll be like, dude, that guy? That guy?
It takes away all your validation.
Yeah, you're like, oh my gosh, I thought I was getting this princess of a girl.
Or
you're
you thought
that
that
guy?
you're the man because you're with her.
Exactly, either or. You're like, oh, and you're like, that guy? And you're like, oh, okay, I guess you're a human. And you come to that realization. I think every guy should go through that realization. You should, if you haven't already. Get your dream 10, get your perfect 10, and then realize she's a human, and then figure out what your 10 really is for you. And also, when you find out that she's not the this dream 10 that you're imagining, don't treat her like she's disappointed you. She is just who she is, you know? You projected this idea of her being this perfect, flawless girl onto her, but she's just a person. At the end of the day, we're all just, you know, shitting in pots.
Well, particularly the makeup thing. I mean, a lot of guys don't understand how much makeup and hair and preparation that so many of these girls are doing and how different they look when it comes off. I would urge anybody to go look up your favorite girls and then put without makeup. Do it.
Yeah.
Any girl that you can think of, look up in Google without makeup, and it is very, very, very eye-opening. And you could even say that with a 10, like what is a 10 with her presentation versus what is a 10 the other 99% of the time that you're with her when you're just going to eat a salad.
Yeah.
And that's another factor. But again, it's like the girl who somebody hangs out with long term, that's more of a pheromone compatibility, more of a genetic compatibility. You're going to feel this crazy arousal for the women who you should be having kids with. And likewise, then there's also going to be girls that you sport just to impress your homies. And that's a very, very different kind of 10.
Right? So when I first started out, I was intimidated by girls that were taller, that had fake tits, and that had beautiful, gorgeous lips. So I dated a girl a couple months ago, maybe actually over a year ago now. She's a stripper at the best strip club in New York, and which is called Scores. It's one of the top strip clubs in New York. There's basically 2. And she was a stripper there, and this girl was just stunning, you know, like stunning, like beautiful body, beautiful, like just out of this world. Like she was sex. If there was a sex goddess and they put sex into a human being form, she was the definition of sex. She looked sex, talked sex, was sex. Everything about her was made to fuck. Like there was like, it's just like, fuck this thing. Like put your dick in this girl 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, forfeit your life, fuck your friends, fuck your family, fuck missing work, school. As long as your dick is inside this girl, everything is all right. It's just all right. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know the type of girl that you would have sex with, and you're like, yo, I don't care if you fucked a guy 5 minutes before me, I would still fuck you. You can give me gonorrhea, you can give me syphilis, you can give me, bitch, you can give me anything that's curable with a pill. I would still fuck the shit out of you, right? You know that type of girl? She looked like that. She was just gorgeous, like just crazy gorgeous, you know? Gorgeous tattoos, crazy body, literally the best body I've seen, ever been with in my entire life. And by all standards, there's guys that are paying, like literally like guys are, I think in Scores, I don't know how much they pay for a dance. I think it's like, you can pay up to like, I think the VIP booth is like a couple $100. Like she'd come home with like $2 to $3 grand. You know what I'm saying? $2 to $3 grand. But then you get that girl who's that pretty, she comes home $2 to $3 grand a day, and it's like, you know, she doesn't feel good about how she made that money, right? And you get that girl and you're like, damn, she's gorgeous, but because she made that money, she spent it fast, she blew it fast. Cop money, blew money, cop money, blew money. And so she's trapped in her own cycle, her own hell on earth that she can't get out of. You know, she's trapped in that, she can't get out of it, and she's just like, she ain't feeling happy either, right? So is that a 10? I don't know. I've dated girls that were models, that were like beautiful models, runway, top 7 agencies in the world. She's one of them. International model on the cover of Fashion Week shit, covers magazines, all that good shit. And, you know, she's like, has eating problems. You know, she can't eat properly. She's like, you know, not eating, or avoiding food or malnourished or always getting sick because she's not eating properly. She's eating food that has no nutrients so she don't gain weight, trying to avoid carbs, trying to avoid fat, trying to avoid everything, right? So you can get that girl as a 10, but what's gonna happen is your idea of what a 10 is gonna change. Now you go to the club tonight, whatever club is fucking available here, I don't know. First of all, you guys need to just leave Ann Arbor and go to Toronto. Okay, that's the first thing.
Oh my God.
Have you guys been to Toronto? Who here has been to Toronto?
Woo!
See?
Changed my life.
Turn around, look at the, keep your hands up. Turn around, this is my boot camp student. Look at their hands, look at their hands. Okay,
That's the number one.
what's the best club you've been to in Toronto?
Madison.
Rebel.
Rebel, who's been to Rebel? Fuck, how would you describe Rebel?
Jesus Christ.
Yeah, it's like Vegas?
Yes.
Yeah, it's like 1,000 people, what's the capacity, 6,000?
6,000.
6,000 people capacity club in Toronto. It's called Rebel. Just get in your car, get in a little Amtrak train thing, $50, go down there for the weekend, crash on an inner circle guy's house, change your life, never come back, okay? The best thing about Ann Arbor is the international airport. Get out of here, go to Rebel, thank me later. Okay, thank me later. Take your $47 deposit that you got from the chair here at RSD, get it refunded, get a train ticket, go to Rebel, thank me later, all right? There's also a place called Cabana Pool Bar on the weekend. Anybody ever been to Cabana Pool Bar?
Oh yeah.
Tell me about it.
Rebel, it's outside, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's awesome.
It's like a daytime pool party with 10s just all over the fucking place. 9s, 10s, like, I think it's like 1,000 people there. Daytime pool party, 1,000 10s in bikinis. Cabana Pool Bar, all right? Click the link down below to my sponsor page. they were like a sponsor me. But anyways, I do have friends that work there. So you go to one of these clubs and you'll see a 9 or 10 and you'll be like, damn, everybody's flaunting her, everybody's all over her. And she'll be your 10. You'll be intimidated to talk to her because you're like, yo, this girl's out of my league. And you'll be intimidated about her because she's like nothing you've ever seen before. She's at a table, she's got guys around her, she has a social proof. And then one day, I pray for you. You work hard, you apply yourself, you get better, you improve yourself, you do self-development, you get your game on tight, you get your fashion on tight, you get your health right, you do everything. One day, I hope you meet the right people and you get your fucking 10, okay? You get your 9 or your 10. And I pray that happens to you. Because when you get her, guess what happens? You're nervous and shit. You're there with her, you're like barely getting an erection because your heart's beating so fast. You're looking at your Fitbit, it's like 100 beats per minute. You're like, fuck. You're like, she's like, can you get a condom? You're like, it's somewhere around here. It's somewhere. It's in my pants. Where are your pants? I don't know. In the other room, on the floor. And you're like, can I just shove it? She's like, no, you can't shove it in. Like, can I just shove it in? She's like, no, you can't shove it in. Then you run around, you get the condom, you come back, you're limp, and you're like, condom. And she's like, baby, relax, let me help you with it. And you're like, you finally get the condom on, and you realize that your 10 is a starfish. And she just lies in bed like this. And she barely moves because she had guys do all the work for her all her life. And you're like, damn, this 10 is not what I thought it would be. And I, by the way, I use these numbers just to like put a perspective on it. I don't really believe in like numbers and shit like that. But you ever have a 7 that's amazing? Ever? Man, let me tell you, man, once I had this, once I was with this girl, Brazilian girl, okay? Brazilian girl, really just fucking lovely. You know what I'm saying? You say like, hey, I want to see you on Wednesday. She's like, let me check. Wednesday it is, no problem. Say no more, fam, I'm there, right? Wednesday, or you're like, I want to see you this night. She comes over, she's like bringing like a little like Brazilian pastry and like a little plate, you know what I'm saying? Or like the saran wrap over. She's like, I bought you this from the party I was at. You know, we had some leftovers, so I thought you might want to enjoy this Brazilian thing. And you're like, damn, that feels great. And you eat this thing, and she's like, oh, you're like, thank you. And then like, she's like, how was your day? And you're like, man, it was all right. And she's like, you look a little sore. You're like, yeah. You're like, yo, can I get a back massage? She's like, yeah. Right. You lie down there in the bed, and she's giving you a back massage with the elbow and the fucking like the spine on the right place. You're like, damn, that's good. And then she's like, you're so great, and all this shit. You're like, damn, baby, thanks. And then she gets on top of you, and she rides your fucking brains out, and she fucks you like there's no tomorrow. And you come, you see God. Anybody ever had that? You ever had that before? Right? That's like life. That's like so fucking good. You're like, damn. And then as you come, there's like a tear coming out of your eye. And she's like, why are you crying? What's wrong? You're like, everything is good. Don't worry. It's just so good right now. It's just so good right now. Versus, and then after she's gone, you're like, wow, that was amazing. All right, I can't tell anybody about this, I'm not gonna brag about this, but it was beautiful. You know, she goes, and on the way out, she washes the dishes and like folds some shit, and like she's out, she pieces out, right? And then like a couple days pass, and you try to hit up that 10, and the 10's like you're like, hey, are you free on Friday? And the 10's like, I'll let you know. And you're like, fuck this bitch, fuck this shit, wasted my time, right? And she doesn't get back to you. So the point is, you know, your 10 is gonna change. What you look for is gonna change in a girl. Your idea of what is valuable to you will change over time. It's not a static thing. An idea of a 9 or a 10 is not a static thing. It's gonna change over time, and that's okay. And if you're first starting out, your 10 might be just visual. She just looks great, you know, and that's fine. If that's your ambition in your beginning, go ahead, do that shit, go all the way, you know what I'm saying? Ignore her cocaine habit. Sell cocaine if you want more. Cocaine will do more for you than any game ever will. You go to a hot girl in the club, you say, hey, you got cocaine? She's like, down. Jesse was on Tinder in Los Angeles, and you know what happened? I'll say, he was on Tinder in Los Angeles, and he was just like texting some girl, and like line number 3, she's like her message, like number 3 message she sent him, she goes, do you like blow? And he's like, what the fuck? That was message number 3. Now, I'm not even mad that she likes blow. I'm just surprised that was her go-to. Do you like blow is her go-to in line number 3 on Tinder. Welcome to LA, I told Jesse, welcome to LA. In LA, we pull girls up to the house, and they'd be mad that we didn't have blow. They'd be mad, they'd be like, what the fuck, there's no blow here, and they leave. So we'd have to just pretend that we had, like, one of my friends like, Coke? Oh, you mean Coca-Cola? Like shit like that. You mean Coca-Cola? Yeah, I got that shit. And he's like, fuck, they'd be mad. They're like, I'm calling an Uber. I thought you had blow. And he's like, but we talked about self-development. Or shit like that. We have kombucha in the fridge. We got kombucha. It's all good. Don't worry about it. So your idea of what a 10 is going to be, it's going to change over time. And you got to be clear on about what is it you want. It's okay for your idea of what you want to change. What I wanted 3 years ago, not even close to what I want now. I have an actual Excel sheet, okay? I call it my Dream Woman dashboard. I have an Excel sheet, and that Excel sheet has like the 10 things that I want in a girl. And I list it out very clearly. Then it has the 10 things that I'm gonna ask to find out she has the qualities. How am I gonna know she's feminine? How am I gonna ask that? How am I gonna know that she takes care of others? How am I gonna know that she's very sexual and sensual? How am I gonna know this shit for real? And I've mapped it out. This is a legit Excel sheet. This isn't like a game. This is no fucking game. This isn't a joke to me. I mapped that out, 10 things. And then I say, all right, if she doesn't have those things, how am I gonna react? And I have a list of how do I react if she's not sexual? How do I react if she's not feminine? How do I react if she's not intelligent? How do I react if she's not trying to make the world a better place? Et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And I have a list of those 10 things. And I have it fresh in my mind. I review it every month or so. It takes 5 minutes to review it, just to make sure I'm on path. And when I meet a girl who's incredible, I go back to the list. I'm like, let me see what this list is. And sometimes I meet a girl, I meet amazing girls, and I date them for a bit, and I'm like, yo, this girl is not who I thought I was gonna date. Let me go back and change this list about what I want. And I revise the list. The list revises every 6 months. I take one thing out, put a new one in. Oh, I thought I wanted a girl who was sexual. Okay, she was raped when she was 14. That's why she's a freak. Now she's a stripper. Let me take that out. Ooh, let me put a healthy sexuality in. That's what I want. She wants sex just because she loves it. It's like a celebration thing for her. You know what I'm saying? Like one thing goes out, a new one comes in every 6 months. And I'm always flipping it. So your idea of what a 10 is going to change over time. And that's okay. Welcome back. I wanted that to make sense for you. And there's a lot of confusion from people I hear about the social accepted 10 versus the personal 10. What's the real 10? Me and my friends don't agree on what a 10 is. Well, now you can. Also, some guys have a school of thought that says 1 and 0. Either I don't go for it and I'm not attracted to her, or I just go for it all the way because I think she's a little bit attractive. But I think this subjective 10 versus a social 10 is a better model to work with, and it makes sure that you actually go after girls that are socially attractive, but also the ones that just kind of turn you on and make you excited as a human being. So, I want to thank you for watching this. As you know, on this channel, I'm going to bring you the hardcore gangster truth, the stuff that people are afraid to give to you. I'm going to give it to you because you deserve nothing but the best. Really, you do. Think about it. When you got into this, you didn't get into this for a 6 and a 7, but somewhere along the line you settled, and that was all that you went for. But the truth is, you always wanted more. You always wanted that dream girl, that 9 or that 10, and you can't escape it. And it's eating you up inside. Even as I speak about it right now, you're remembering that feeling. So I want to take that feeling and use it and work with you to get the result that you want. You enjoy this, be sure to subscribe to the Get Your 10 series on my channel. The new content's gonna be coming out every single week for the next few months. All right, press subscribe right now. Get notified of new videos as soon as they come out. As always, keep in touch and don't be a stranger. Cheers.